Howdy, I'm Mike Hammett, and this is my shop. About 3 years ago, I was coming to retirement, and I was sitting around having dinner with my wife Shelley and sister and brother-in-law and their in-laws, and we're sitting there, and Jim Tanksley, who is like this master wood turner, he goes, "Mike, what are you going to do with your time off?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." He goes, "Well, do you want to work with me? I'll teach you how to wood turn." I go, "Okay." So I retired, and he's like, "Okay, well, I expect you here like on Tuesday morning at 6." And I go, "Well, we'll do 7." But anyway, so I started working twice a week with Jim, and doing wood turning, and he's a master. He's a real artist. Jim really turned out to be, I mean, he taught me a lot, and but he came like my best friend. 2 years ago, and this was very sudden. Jim had an accident. He hurt his back. It wouldn't go away, and he finally went to the hospital, and they found out that he had cancer.
Oh boy.
And he passed away pretty quick. I mean, he had taught me a lot, and I kind of took it from there. He also, I told you that we did epoxy. He also had a CNC, he had a laser. We were doing all that stuff together. So so he passed, and I actually haven't really done a whole lot of wood turning since then. I mean, he, one of the things that we learned together was the CNC, and I really enjoyed it, and I've kind of taken off with doing all that CNC work, and that's kind of where my focus is. I have the lathe in there, and I have a lot of wood. So I assume that I'll get back to doing CNC work at some point.
He was really your first mentor.
First mentor.
That's great.
Amazing guy. So sure, come on in. We talked about, I do computer stuff, and so of course I have my computer that I work from, and I have some of the old ones that don't work as much anymore, but I have my TV and music. Was built 2 years ago. It's insulated, foam insulation. The dude that did the electrical, amazing guy, did the electrical, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I spend a lot of time in here, so this is like my home away from home. Anyway, so this was not Jim's. Jim had a huge CNC table. This is actually the same size as far as footage goes, but his is still sitting in his garage over there. But I had bought this, and it's a Onefinity, and we talked about I'm still using the router. I'd love to have a spindle, but I actually spend most of my time working with this, and there's obviously there is the design that goes in with it. There's a lot of learning curve that goes with like knowing what bits to use and when to use it and how deep or whatever. This is when I was learning how to wood turn. This is the lathe that I used. This was Jim's first big lathe, and it is heavy as heck. And so so it's in here, and I have used it. I was showing the grandkids how to make pens, and pens are real easy. And it's kind of been sitting here kind of idle for really ever since it's been here. I haven't really done a whole lot with it, but along with a lathe, you have to have your sharpening. So you have your whole setup for sharpening your blades and my chisels and all that kind of handy right in here. So and
Yeah.
I'll get back to it. I know I'll get back to it. This was his table saw. It's a little bit dirty. I've been using it. It's a super nice table saw, and I do use this quite often to cut, obviously pieces of wood, or if I'm making a board. There's lots of cuts that go on. One of my favorite tools, not a lot of people have it, is the sander. I use that quite often. I found that it's easier to use this sometimes than to pull out some of the other things to do flattening.
Okay.
This is my air. It'll use it to exhaust all the wood chips, and I still need to get that set up. There's a lot of wood that flies when you're doing wood turning, or whether you're doing the CNC. And
Yeah, I see the smaller dust collector connected to the drum sander.
yeah, and I also have a small one connected for the CNC, and for the big one, I probably need to run something down the middle and get it set up for some of the bigger tools. The saw, everyone needs this. This is basically just for cut off and doing any kind of simple cutting.
Okay.
The bandsaw I use all the time. This is a super nice bandsaw. This was Jim's. It's 18 inches, so you can get a really large log in there.
Okay.
So there's that, but I've been using it for cutting the inlay pieces. So once you cut an inlay, you need to cut off the excess. The router, basically for if you're doing any kind of routing or whatever, if you're doing handholds. The drill press I've used a lot for if you're doing a pen, you just cut a hole in the pen, it comes in handy for whatever you need.
Okay.
The jointer, if you need square cuts, and obviously you do when you're doing cutting boards, the jointer. This is pretty recent, and I haven't been doing cutting boards very long. This is hydraulic press, and so whenever you have an inlay, you're putting the male into the female, and then you'll put it in here and you'll squeeze it down for. I usually leave it for 24 hours. So,
that's great.
Yeah, it's a tool I do use all the time.
So see the service panel over there, you went 220 in the whole shop?
Everything, yeah, he's got 220, and Jeff did an amazing job.
Okay.
I had thought that I would do the electrical because, I kind of like to do things myself, but I could have never done what he did.
Right.
This was Jim's table. I took this out, and now it's really my main work table. So when it comes right down to it, this is kind of where I sit and do the stuff that I do.
That you got going on here? Okay,
so this is my latest project. This is a end grain cutting board. It is acacia and maple. So the way it worked is I cut all the female parts of it, and then the inlay, which kind of looks like this. Once you do this, really the inlay is always just the opposite of the female part. So you'll see, like his fin is out this way, so the fin has to go this way, and then it'll go in here. I'll put it in the hydraulic press. It'll come out. I'll put it back on the CNC. I'll go ahead and shave it all down to where it is like here. I'll put it into the sander, and it'll sand it down to kind of like what the head is at this point. So I'm kind of got 3 pieces going on right now. So the head is pretty much done. This needs to be sanded. Once this is sanded, then I'll glue this part in, and then sand everything down really nice and finish it. And then this may be my spit and whittle this month. It has taken me probably about a year and a half to really feel comfortable. I mean, I was doing things, I would go to YouTube and I would look at things and I would do it, and I can't tell you how much wood I wasted and how many mistakes I made. Right. You know, I thought it would be easy, and it's not so easy. When you're doing intricate, really narrow gaps here, you need a really fine tip bit for your CNC. And then once you get it in here, it has to fit like a glove, because if it doesn't, then you're going to have gaps, and those look terrible. And I had to deal with that at first, and so it would take me a long time because I was dealing with all kinds of gaps in the boards and trying to fill that and try to make it look normal. At this point, I've gotten it down, and I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing, and this is actually the best one I've done so far. I have no gaps here, and everything is gone together super well and super easy. And so I'm getting good at it, and I'm hoping that I don't get to the point where it gets boring to me, because I do enjoy it. I do wish that I had better storage for lumber. I will show you this. A lot of people are familiar with the woodshed. That's where a lot of people get their wood. They had a grand opening, I think it was a couple of years now, maybe a year and a half ago, and I actually won the grand prize. So I've had this piece of really big black walnut sitting in here, and this is what I am going to use. I'm going to make a table, a round end table for Shelley, and put that same turtle design in there. And we have a beach house in Orange Beach, Alabama, and she wants me to make some very ocean-like tables. So she kind of wants like an ocean scene table that I can make using the black walnut.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
My nephew Jason had a big strapping guy named Patrick. He moved heavy equipment, and some of this equipment is super heavy. And so I was in the shop, I was in the background, and Jason and Patrick were working. And I was behind Patrick, and he turns around and he goes, "Hey, Ding Dong, get over here and help me." Well, he thought he was talking to Jason. And so Jason looks at Patrick, and Patrick figures out what's happening. He's super embarrassed. And Jason is rolling on the floor. And so from that time on, I turned out to be Uncle Ding Dong. And so last Christmas, they created this sign for me. And so it's Uncle Ding Dong's workshop.
Okay. Well, thank you for the tour.
You're welcome.
Love it. And I love your artistic work that you're doing and the engineering. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.